Welcome to Tuesday night. It is KHOP88. I'm glad to be back here with Marnie Glickman. I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. Marnie Glickman is in San Rafael, California. Joining us this week, also from the Bay Area of California, but the South Bay, right, is Sarah Strandberg. And from the wilds of Fisher, Indiana, is Commodore Mike Case. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see you. Sarah was telling us she's got some sunflowers there, and Mike is growing crops of unknown origin.
Soybean. So it turns out not to be my land, but I thought it looked good in the background. So let me just, fix that.
The only other thing I have to say to start this out is that we have a problem with Facebook tonight. We're not broadcasting live, so hopefully everyone's seeing this, on delay, obviously, but we're going to try to get questions anyway. And yes, that's a bummer. Zoom is not helping us out tonight. So Marnie, what do you think?
Well, Jason, you were on vacation last week, and Doug Robertson rocked the show.
Worried about my job.
You'll always be my best buddy in this. And I'm really happy to be here with these people. So Sarah lives, how would you say, like 2 hours south of me?
Yes, probably. Yep.
Probably about 2 hours. And then Mike Case, I haven't seen you in 900 years. Where the heck are you? And is that really your field?
That's not my field. That's the farmer's field behind me. But I'm in a place called Fishers, Indiana, which is on the north side of Indianapolis. And I came here 19 years ago just from my job. So.
Why?
Hey, Case, do you still work for Eli Lilly?
Yes. So they are one of the only pharmaceutical companies in the Midwest. And so it was a perfect match. And 19 years later, I'm still plugging away.
Yeah, I mean, you're cooking up COVID-19 vaccine right now, right?
There's a group that's trying. Yeah, not me personally, but
okay.
we got some stuff.
Let's get to it. What are you cooking up at Eli Lilly?
What am I personally cooking up? So I don't do the cooking, but the group I'm with is pain medication. So most recently a migraine medication, and now osteoarthritis medication. So you never know what's going to happen, and depending on where you are in the process, you get more certainty or less certainty. But I have a couple that over the years have gotten to market. So exciting. Takes a long time. Yes.
Now you're Sarah, you're also involved in the medical industry. What is your what's your job? What do you do, and where do you work?
So I came back to California, where I originally started, before coming to Hopkins. But anyways, I came back out here 5 years ago to join Stanford and in Palo Alto, and I'm a speech pathologist. I work with neurology and neurosurgery, and I kind of worked at quite a few universities over the years. I was at the University of Minnesota for 12 years, and then the University of Pittsburgh. Started at the University of Iowa, so a little bit of a carnival-like style, a carny, healthcare carny. So,
Did you both think you would work in these sort of careers? They're sort of related, sort of.
I would say Sarah was going to. Yep. There's no doubt she would. Me, I wasn't sure until, I was about 30 years old. Then I figured it out. So.
Okay, what did you know about Sarah when you knew her in high school?
What did I know about her? I mean, she came from California, right? So the La Brea Tar Pits, I knew that. Yeah. And why is that weird face? Is that bad?
No, Ramon Reyna is really bummed out that he can't participate.
Tell him to just throw the questions in. We'll figure it out from there.
Okay, yeah. I will try. I'll be texting while you're talking.
Okay.
So yes, I came to Hopkins in the middle of 10th grade. Although I did a stint, I should say, and Marnie probably remembers this, I did a 3-month stint at North Junior High when my family had to go back to Minneapolis to help my grandmother. So I was there for 3 months, like really awkward, and then came back in the middle of 10th grade.
So, I mean, I was like the new kid at Gatewood in 2nd grade, I remember, but like, that they say that the older you are, the tougher it is being a new kid. I don't even remember that you were a new kid, Sarah. I mean, you were in our classes and stuff, and we were all friends.
Yeah, no, over
How
Christmas.
rough was it being a new kid?
It's pretty rough moving. I don't know if anyone's had to move with kids in high school, but I would say it was pretty challenging. Just, but I felt so grateful because the high school Hopkins was just like this dreamland compared to my school in the Valley in Southern California, where there was just a lot of other elements to deal with at school. So to go somewhere that like Hopkins, it was a little bit dreamy in the beginning.
And okay, I'm going to share my earliest memory of Sarah Stamberg, and then I'm going to ask both of you to share your earliest memories of each other. So I have this really early memory of being in junior high, Sarah, at North together. And I had this idea that I was at your house and we were having deep fried pheasant fondue. Was it really you?
That's actually accurate. Yes.
And then some adult was like, we hunted and killed this pheasant. And I'm like, oh!
That would have been other relatives. That would have been, yep, in junior high, I was at my grandmother's house in Golden Valley, pretty close to your house.
Yes.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. And then Marty, my first recollection of you was in that same time in junior high. You were like my only friend in California or in Minnesota at that time. And we were at your house in your bedroom, hanging out after school. And I heard this insane, I heard this insane voice screaming the F word, F the world from downstairs. So I was trying to be really, like, I felt really bad that, something was going on in your house. And so I kind of just ignored it. But then we went downstairs and I met your bird. Remember the bird that copied the television?
Wow.
Remember? And
Yes,
was with us through high school, but it used to hear like raunchy things on television and then repeat it. So I was just so happy that it was a bird and not some person screaming like that.
Well, there might be a relation, but yes, it was the word. Okay, and Sarah, what is your first memory of meeting Michael Case?
I don't know if I don't know if I have like a distinct one. We were in classes together, and then I think that, we all, I think particularly the small group of us became really good friends on the French trip. Due in part to, I believe it was Kronenberg was the...
Oh, so it was German beer, not French wine.
It was Kronenberg, yep.
Well, you have to explain for all the people who didn't take French.
I don't know.
Do you want to recount this French trip that you guys took? As we were saying earlier, I took Spanish. There might have been a trip. I didn't go on it. I don't know about the German kids. Clearly, the French kids had the best possible situation with a trip to Paris. What do you remember from that trip?
So I'll jump in. I mean, the Kronenberg was the beer, right? So you'd go to the supermarket and buy a bunch. During the day, you'd go on whatever tour was scheduled for that day. And then during the evening, you're pretty much on your own. So in the hotel, we're drinking, and maybe it was the first time I was really drinking, probably. So, you get a little crazy, you say some dumb things, you apologize, you go on the tour the next day, all that stuff. A lot happened, yeah.
But I think I think it was like 40 of us, 40 students and like 2 adult chaperones, probably not the same ratio you'd see today. I think it was it was a really great trip. But
It was good, yes.
It is funny that going to one of the great cultural centers of the world
Yes.
as teenagers, your first recollection, some 30 plus years later, is Cronenberg. Not like, oh my gosh, we laid eyes on the Notre Dame and it was life changing. It was.
I disagree. I think we had those moments. It was pretty epic.
we did.
Yeah.
Marnie asked earlier in a text if we remembered the beer, and I had to think about it for some time.
You didn't remember.
I did not remember right away. I had to think about it, but I think we did see all the sights. That was what was so like magical about it, I guess. And we had some drama, so we all survived the tear gas in the metro station. And Mike maced us while we were in Nice.
Okay, why didn't you explain how Mike, you remember macing us?
Well, I mostly maced myself, so it wasn't. I think I got the brunt of it, but yeah, I remember. Chris Stone was my yeah. So Chris Stone was my hotel mate, right? So you got matched up with someone, and so Chris Stone was my mate, and he goes out to the bars in Nice because he could, and brings back like 3 Navy dudes, right? And their ship is in port or something. He's like, they needed a place to sleep. I'm like, they're not taking my bed, but I don't care, right? So they sleep on the floor. Next day, I wake up, there's this nondescript black canister on the floor. I'm like, what's this? So I go out to the window and I spray it out. And you know, with the sea air, it just comes right back at you. And all of a sudden, I've maced myself. Marty likes this story. Yeah, so I was like coughing for like 20 minutes. I'm like, what is this stuff? So,
and it was just a few days. It was a few days after the tear gas, which actually was kind of scary to start off, being in that metro tunnel with the demonstrations of 87 that they were having.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe you remember what is it? It's some sort of plaza, right, in Paris where all the protests and demonstrations take place. We were there. I was there with my wife a few years ago, and it was sort of the beginning of the yellow vest movement. And we got rerouted and had to come up, and we're right in the middle of it all. There was no tear gas, and it was like a lot of teachers and government workers and stuff. So we felt very safe, but at the same time, we're like, my God, we're in a foreign country. There's this protest going on. Who knows what?
Oh, look at, he's taking it up. Hey, Mike, was there
What
something
is happening?
you're taking?
So yeah, so that was just a little inside joke. Somebody bought me this stuff and said you should wear it during your thing. So I have to give them a tip of the cap. I said I would do that, and now I'm back to normal Indiana. So
Why do this stuff?
why the stuff?
Ooh.
So the other day I was scheduled for a Zoom call, right? And I went out golfing first, and I got hit by a huge storm. So I get home, I'm like soaking wet. I change into a robe and jump on the Zoom call. Maybe I should have done some other things first. But then they're like, what's up, Hugh Hefner? So then they bought me the other stuff and said, you got to wear it on the the Hopkins High School thing. So I said, okay, I'll do it for 10 minutes. So I think I've done my part, right?
But I think
Yes.
that's a good segue to something that happened years after high school. And that would have been, I was in graduate school at the University of Minnesota. And that's when Mike and Gary Thompson rehabbed an old boat to, what were the plans? Do the Mark Twain?
Yeah, the original plan, get down to New Orleans and that thing.
So it was not seaworthy, to say the least, and we bid them farewell, and then got a call. You guys were in the Quad Cities, right?
East Dubuque, Illinois. Yep, East Dubuque. Yep. Nice town, by the way. If you ever get a chance to visit.
I should add, That's not yet to the Quad Cities. That's short of the Quad Cities.
Yeah, we got short, right.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But they were then boatless at that point and looking for a ride back to the Twin Cities. So went down in.
One of us. Only one of us wanted to ride back, remember? The other was going to hitchhike further down. He wanted to hitchhike to Hannibal, Missouri, which has like Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn, all that stuff. So he got a ride, and the first ride was some stoner, and he gets stuck in Dubuque, right? He's like, I'm not riding with this guy. So he had a wrestling friend, and eventually he got back to the Twin Cities. But yeah, that was a great trip, once in a lifetime thing, and totally worth it.
So I still know I've got photos of that boat as they set sail. So I'll post those when I find them. And then I think you guys should have Gary Thompson. This is my personal shout out.
Are you still in touch with Gary Thompson, Mike?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I see him, a couple times a year. His work brings him through my town occasionally, so we might see each other if we're lucky.
So all right, speaking of photos, we'll just go through this very quickly here. Can you guys all see this?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
okay, so Sarah sent some photos, so I just want to go through some of these. This looks like New Orleans to me, yeah?
It is, yep. It was to get ready for Dr. Mark Mengi, and hopefully we can get the other guys on there soon. So this was the National Quiz Bowl competition in New Orleans.
Got 2 attorneys and a doctor and a speech
I do have to say a shout out to Mark. So I hadn't seen him since high school, and about 15 years ago, I was with my cousin in the emergency room at a Methodist hospital and deciding if he was to go into hospice or get care for a new diagnosis at that very minute. And through the tears in comes Mark Mengi, and my cousin is alive and well today because of Mark's a brilliant doctor. So shout out to him.
We will have Mark on soon. I hope to get in touch with Mike Mitchell, and we can ask him about the Crocodile Dundee hat there.
Yeah.
So Sarah, tell us a little bit more about the National Quiz Bowl Championship, because of course I knew about it, but maybe some of our members of our class, because there were hundreds of us. What was this National Quiz Bowl Championship?
These aren't I think I sent some other photos with Mike and I, but I think Marnie has those. But Mike, are you sure you don't want to tell my story about the National Quiz Bowl?
Mike, were you there?
No, he likes it.
No, I wasn't invited. No.
He always liked it when I talked about it, so that's why I was going to pass it off.
This photo is Sarah and Mengi, and then this guy in the photo is low-key one of the funniest people we went to high school with, who's I think a year younger than us.
I was trying to think of it. I think it's Eric Sobiak, but
Eric Sobiak, yes.
Yeah. Pretty funny photo bomb. Marnie's got the other pictures of Mike and I, but these were some of your previous guests, Adam Samaha and Rich and stuff. So that's why I sent them off to you. But so I think I only went because I was,
Pause.
This is New Orleans.
I'm sorry, Sarah. Sarah is 17 here, and look at her. She's the only female on the Hopkins High School team National Quiz Bowl Championship team, right?
That's only because I was female. So I did not really qualify. I wasn't very good, but you had to have both sexes represented. So I was basically the token woman.
There I am.
Well, there's Adam Samaha,
Yeah, and Hammer.
And who knows
That's the Hammer, that's right.
Hammer, Todd Ames.
And
we'll get into that in a future episode. Maybe we can track down Todd Ames at some point.
Oh, that was for Bob.
Bob
didn't have Bob's email.
All-American.
Yeah, those were just some of the photos of the recent guests. But and then I sent Marnie some other pictures. But
look, let's pause.
I wanted to go back to this one.
Okay, so from left to right, we have Dina Barron-Smith, Sarah Strandberg. Does this mean you were one of our valedictorians?
I don't think so.
national superstar.
National Honor Society, I bet.
No, I was that. I didn't get an award.
Okay.
Chris Arney, Doug Robertson, Mr. Samaha, and my special friend co-host.
Yeah, it's a great picture, Jason. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so yeah, we went to the Quiz Bowl. We didn't do so well, but we were, like I said, in New Orleans in the late 80s was a much different scene than it is now. So,
Did you stay in the French Quarter?
no, we stayed in some dorms at the university there, and like I said, University of New Orleans.
Oh,
I think.
UNO, okay.
Yeah, UNO. And I had to room with Dot Welch, the teacher. And yeah, it was pretty. And Ramon was on the trip with us, and Mike Mitchell, Mark, Eric, and Paul.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
Mike, I have a question from the peanut gallery.
Okay.
Are we up on the gallery?
They're
No,
not, but
but
they are.
They're so bummed out. But Kathy Cheetah, do you remember
Yep.
her?
Yeah, I think she might live near me.
Kathy Cheetah says, Mike, how long have you lived in Fishers? I've been in Brownsburg for 23 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so she has me by 4 years. I'm 19 years in Indianapolis. So, and I think she's an air traffic controller, right? So I've heard that she lives around here, but Brownsburg is like you going to, let's say, Lakeville, something like that. It's across the city, so not super close. Well, no one lives in Minneapolis. What am I talking about?
Yeah,
But in any case,
that was.
you know the reference, right? So
Yeah.
it's like across town, but yep.
Okay, Mr. Case, you've been such a good listener. Do dish. So what do you remember? You don't remember the first time you met Sarah, but what do you, like, what's a fun memory of Sarah in high school?
Well, so there's a lot, right? So the first time would have been classes, like you mentioned, being in, well, not, she might have mentioned, but in classes together. Penny loafers. She always wore penny loafers.
Yeah.
A little weird, right? Yeah, very conservative, right, in her dress. But then, yeah, then French trip, and then the proms, and then we did a lot of stuff together.
Okay, here we
Oh
go.
my God, you're doing it!
Oh, there's some more. Yeah, so that's prom junior year, maybe?
Wait, is it happening? Are you live?
No, I just am sharing the screen again.
But
But here's the prom photo. Is this junior year or senior year? It looks junior year, I think.
Yeah,
Sarah would know better.
I don't like the pink. Yep.
I love it. And so, Mike, did you ask her? Do you remember? I'm going to go just a little bit personal.
I think I would have had to, right? Isn't that how it works?
Typically, in the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, in the
Mr.
80s, yeah.
Belgrade.
Yep.
Sarah, do you remember? Did he ask you?
I think you did it. Yeah, that was not too long after the French trip, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And we doubled with Shonda and Brian Sandham.
Oh,
Oh.
idea
There's some
for a
names
future
for it.
episode. We're just trying to get prom dates on together. Now,
Right.
you know, these kids do these crazy, social media engineered prom invitations that are over the top. And yeah, I recall it just being like, on your way to class in the mall kind of a.
Oh, yeah,
occasion.
yeah. Nothing elaborate. Like, Mike didn't make me a sign or anything.
There was no promposal, right? Isn't that what they're
There was
called?
no
Promposal, that's what they call
proposal.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean,
No.
but yes, at what was the place out on Lake Minnetonka that they had that?
Lafayette Club.
Yeah, Lafayette
Yeah,
Club.
Lafayette Club. Yeah, yep. So
Hey, Case, you've been such a good listener. It's time for you to dish. What do you want to tell us about? Why haven't you been to a reunion?
So the last reunion, which I would have loved to have gone to, I was in Hawaii with my family. So I'm like, I can't give that up, right? Hawaii's beautiful. I was at one, now that you mention it.
Okay.
I remember you
remember
being
going-
at one. 20 maybe.
I was
Because
at
I wasn't
one.
at 25, just 20.
So I remember we met in Uptown, and it was Lesage and Hutton and a whole bunch of people. And then we ended up going. And there was like a football game the night before, a scoreboard. Yeah, I remember scoreboard, people meeting at scoreboard. That was crazy. Thompson wanted to wrestle everybody. So, that's how it goes. So I've been to one, and I would have been to the last one, but I'll be at the next one.
Oh yeah, man, we're all going.
I would say that in the theme of that story about scoreboard, like the last reunion just a couple summers ago, Friday night people gathered at the bowling alley in downtown Hopkins. And there's a group, there are people that go Friday night who aren't going Saturday night. I think it's probably because they're like not paying $100 or whatever.
Mm.
And it was wild. Like the scene on Friday night, I feel like is way wilder than on Saturday night. Saturday night, people put on blazers and stuff, and they're a little, ratcheted down.
Yep,
Friday.
I could see that.
I think I've been to one.
You haven't?
No.
Mm-mm.
Not yet. We're gonna drive out in my Prius next time. Okay, Mike, you've been really quiet. You've been so patient. Okay, so when I think about Mr. Michael Case, I think about many things: his great sense of humor, his baseball hats, his brilliance, and why was he so good at math? Do you use math in your life anymore?
Yeah, so my job is, my official title is senior research scientist, but I'm a statistician. And so I don't actually have to do the math. The computer does a lot of the math, right? But you have to know how to tell the computer to do the math. So I guess kind of in a sense every day, but part of the job also is just getting other people comfortable with the stuff you're doing. So it's like a little bit of politics and then a little bit of math. And we have people that their whole job is programming. So I don't even have to do that. I just tell them what I want and then they do that. So mostly it's just talking to the other people on the team and saying, here's generally what we're going to be doing. And this is what we're going to be showing. So.
Okay, I have many questions.
Yeah.
So do you two think that your education in high school helped you achieve your professional work right now? I mean, like, was it good enough for you?
I'll say yes, certainly.
How? Like, I'm going to say this very clearly, and I'm going personal because you're my friends.
Okay.
Like, I was a school board member recently for 4 years, right? And I think about like how, all of the, the student population that's great achievers and really intelligent. So you think it served you enough? How?
So I'll go first and then Sarah can go, but I think, so there's a lot of skills that you don't learn in high school, right? A bunch of soft skills and things like that. Presentation, working with people, all that. But, and it also is what you put into it. So, yeah, I was kind of serious about most of the stuff and I, most of the time did really well. But it gives you the basic skills that the next part of your education is going to build on. And so when I went to the next part, I never felt like I wasn't prepared for what they were going to throw at me. So in that sense, yes.
Thank you. How about you, Sarah? How did you feel going from high school to college academically and intellectually?
I think I think we definitely had a great preparation, but I'm always amazed at how difficult college academics were when we got there, just the intensity of it. And that still surprises me to this day that I ever finished college. And I found that pretty challenging, but I think we had a great education and really balanced. I mean, I don't know, it just felt really balanced and pretty wholesome to me. So nowadays when I do some of the interviews, or I was doing interviews for admissions for Northwestern, I can't even keep up with, everyone's got like a 6.2 GPA, and I don't even know what that means anymore, and all of that. So I feel like, I don't know, I'm glad that we had the academics that we did, but not the super focus, or most of us didn't have like college portfolios that we were working on since junior high and stuff like that. So
Right. You know, the thing that I remember, and I always remember, especially when there's, you know, people that we talk to who we hung out with, who I hung out with, you know, and certainly, you know, both of you were, all four of us were part of the same social group, but, you know, Case, you know, we played you know, Bob Gallon brought up these card games that we would have. And, you know, we worked at the golf course together and stuff. You know, we played basketball at IHM, if you remember that. So we hung out a lot. But like because there were so many smart asses in our group, like it was pretty, like we challenged each other sort of on an ongoing, you know, basis just about bullshit. Like, you know, trivia or, you know, sports knowledge or just world awareness. I mean, I remember one time, and this would, I think, happen somewhat regularly with people in our group. You'd run into somebody in the library at school. I'm like, what are you doing in here? You know, like, are you studying for something? What are you doing? And I remember running into you one time, like, what are you doing? And you're like, I'm just reading this book about chess strategy.
Lame, right.
But again, it incorporated itself into something funny, because then, you know, after that, it was just like, well, of course, that's, you know, Rasputin's gambit, and, you know, like all these moves
Oh my
these
goodness.
names and stuff that we had to identify.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was, you know, and I think that was, to some degree, that was part of our class there too. Like,
yeah,
a lot of smart people and a lot of people who weren't at all intimidated of coming off as being too nerdy or too, you know, brainy.
yeah. I don't think we held back on that one.
No, Sarah especially, yep.
Quiz bowl.
Yeah, quiz bowl, right. And knowledge bowl, and boy, there was like 5 different bowls you were in. You're always in a bowl.
What do you
Yeah,
mean?
Yeah, she was always in a bowl, it seemed like.
Oh my God. Okay, but what about you, Mike? So you were smarty pants, you wrestled.
Yeah, and played football, remember?
Oh yeah, I cheered you on my dance line, in my dance line jumper.
Yep.
And then,
My football career did not end at Hopkins, by the way.
That's
no,
right.
it did not.
Case,
Yeah.
the rare college athlete in our class. This is a good story. You should please share your story of post-scholastic athletics.
Yeah, so I don't want to steal Eric Haugen's thunder, right?
I know,
But-
I knew it.
We were both in a league out east called lightweight football, where 2 days before the game you weigh in.
Right.
And I think the cutoff was 158 or something like that. So 2 days before the game, you could weigh 158. Game time, you know, maybe 170 is the heaviest guy on the field. And then after that, everything else is like football. We played the same place the big boys played. Got to go to West Point, Annapolis, Cornell, Princeton, Rutgers. So we got to go, you know, go on the road and play at some cool places. And I think I had 3 years before I dropped out of Penn. So that was my post-high school career.
Okay, well, I have a question from the peanut gallery. Our pinch hitting co-host, Doug Robertson, has a really good question for Mike.
Okay.
Mike, what did Mike Lesage rub for good luck in poker games?
In poker games, what did he rub for good luck?
It's an all-night poker game memory. LOL from Doug.
Yeah, I do remember the poker games. And I remember Hackett used to bring this weird thing, like Arabic Emporium thing that he had, that he kept his little monies in. So that was a big thing. I'm going to guess Doug's knee. It's probably wrong, but I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember there being all sorts of this kind of thing.
Okay,
I remember Ray Betcher, speaking of Quiz Bowl and stuff, Ray Betcher being a constant presence at these all-night poker games. But
Yeah, he liked the cards. Yeah.
okay.
Did we get the answer?
I'm
No,
going to try to see if he'll give it to us before we're
Okay.
done here.
Every once in a while, you guys would try to challenge the women, but it was usually done just to get our money.
Case
Yeah,
was
we're not below that.
Case, what you have like a storm behind you.
Yeah, it does
No,
look ominous.
Can you walk? Do you have
No.
a house?
Yeah, I have a house, so it's not. It turns out we get dark earlier than they do on the West Coast. So.
Hey, why don't you take your little iPad in your house, please?
Okay, good call.
Thanks.
Maybe the animals will walk in front of the camera.
Okay, okay, Doug is replying. Okay, Doug, listen to all this. Okay, ready?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't even know what it means. Jason, you read it. It sounds male.
it's male. He says his gurky.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's the hair between your belly button and the top of your pants. The gurky. Yep, I forgot about that. Yep.
There were lots of photos of that going around too.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know who snuck a photo in, but
I think that was the predecessor to our current photo problems. Yep.
We can't, maybe we'll cover this in a future episode, but Lesage was pretty hirsute. He could grow like a full beard when we were like freshmen. So a lot of things involved.
yes.
Okay, well, let's talk about the two of you a little more, and not Lesage. We're saving him for some like holiday special.
Right. Smart.
Right.
Smart.
So, did you guys have questions for each other?
So Sarah and I have kept in contact over the years, and we talk sometimes, and so I'm pretty familiar with her career and her family. I have a question for you. How did your brother go so far off the rails on his political beliefs?
I'm not sure. My brother is going through some transitions, I think, right now. So my family all lives out here in California now, and my brother, I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't answer for him, but I think Mike and I have kept in touch over the last few years, probably. And then he was out in San Francisco, so we had dinner then. But yeah, I don't think I have any pressing questions.
You don't.
Not for the KHOP.
Not for KHOP. I understand.
What's that?
Well, I just wish you could all like come to my house for like a barbecue or something. But we're just barbecuing the air, so
Yep.
it's so nice to see all of you. You have
Yeah,
questions
you too.
for Jason?
Oh, I have a question for Jason. So journalism
Yeah.
feels like it's kind of dead.
Yeah.
What is the future? What is the future of journalism? Will there be any newspapers in 6 years?
That's a great question. I believe there will be. The newspaper that I work for example, is financed largely by a family foundation. We're part of a corporation, but could probably be self-sufficient just based off the stock earnings of this family foundation. That I think more and more will be sort of the model of nonprofit. It's happening right now. Somewhat in California, in places like Santa Cruz, where their newspapers have sort of folded, and these nonprofit, entrepreneurial models have sort of bubbled up. And here in Wisconsin too, there are a number of those that are starting up, some of that have been around for a long time, and they focus on niches like investigative stuff and, state government coverage and environmental reporting, things like that. So the general, I think already the general interest newspaper is kaput. I mean, the New York Times, even just the other day, the New York Times announced that they were running television listings for the last time. Like, just these jobs that the newspapers used to do for us when we were kids, like those are gone now. So
I unsubscribe to the New York Times since we're getting personal. I read the Washington Post. I read the New York Times a little bit, but I'm a little down on it.
I gotta say, I'm gonna start paying for the Minneapolis Star Tribune because I read it, but they've locked their paywall down so hard now that you can't get anything free. I'm like, all right, it's time to pony up and pay, because that's a great newspaper. We were lucky to grow up in a place that had a really good newspaper.
Okay, people, this is one of my regular questions, but I care about all three of you. What are you reading for fun these days?
So I don't know if it's fun, but The Signal and the Noise by the guy who does the website 538.
Oh, I read that.
What is
that?
538's good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
So
Nate Silver, right?
Yeah, there you go. So that's somewhat relevant to the work that I do.
How?
Well, because it's about prediction, right? And that's
Probability.
part of our job. Yep.
Do you think Nate Silver's good at his job?
I do. Yeah, I think so I think he got a bunch of heat and flack last time for the presidential election, but of all the predictors and such, he actually was more towards the middle than anybody else and said this is a real possibility, and sure enough it happened. And there's limitations to polls and what do polls really tell you and all that stuff. So I think he kind of got a bad rap on that last one. But yeah, I like the way he talks. I like the way he thinks and
writes. Yeah.
And writes. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I agree with you. That's cool. How about you, Sarah? Are you reading anything for enjoyment?
Not so much. So I mean, I'm reading, but I working on a book for work, which is a big project, a huge project right now. And I think the thing that I'm reading a little bits here and there is just the biography, the Leonardo da Vinci book that came out about 2 years ago.
Are you writing a book for work?
I'm writing a book for work.
About what?
With a colleague, we're writing, we have a book contract. So we are writing, it's actually a book on head and face trauma. So not an exciting topic, but
it actually is. I'm going to prod you. So one of the things you told me about your work is it's about some of the things you studies are head and face trauma for victims of domestic violence.
Correct.
Is that true?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell more.
No,
It's very amazing. Okay, I'm being silly. That is super important. Tell us how does that work?
So I work in a new kind of clinic at Stanford. It's one of the only ones in the Western United States where we focus on facial trauma. So it's a surgeon and myself, and we get people from all over. So yes, domestic abuse. I also do deal with concussions and domestic abuse victims. So we've worked with actually the coroner of Santa Clara County is a big advocate for domestic abuse victims. So and has done a lot with the repeat head trauma there. But our facial trauma book does include some information on that. So.
But
it sounds boring to talk about it, but.
Oh, it's so funny. It doesn't sound boring to me at all. Does it sound boring to you, Jason?
No, that's really fascinating. I can think of a bunch of, especially when you just think of specifically, not just head and facial trauma, but head and facial trauma that's due to domestic abuse. It's like
right. So most of the big concussions, so I'm in the concussion clinic at Stanford, and most concussion clinics are really focused on athletes, and we're trying to expand that to really, address those issues with repeat head trauma in other populations. So feeling pretty good about that.
Well, I think it's amazing work.
Yeah,
And
that's
not
fantastic. So will that be like a textbook or more of like a professional?
Medical text, yep.
For students?
For professionals that are practicing in the area, we just, and it's based on a big symposium that we had at Stanford last year around this time. And so, the chapter is authored by different people from across the United States.
Okay, I have one last question. I could ask a million, but my last question, I promise, is, we've talked about teachers, and the peanut gallery wants to know your favorite teachers, but I actually have a different question, which is more about the here and now. Have you two taught at all? And if so, do you like teaching?
Sarah, you go first.
So yes, I taught, I've taught at other jobs. So I taught at the University of Iowa. I was on faculty. I taught interns at the University of Minnesota, and I taught at the University of Pittsburgh.
But we're all cat people.
And
Sarah,
dog people. This is just mittens.
oh, sorry, you go both ways. Sarah,
Yeah.
Did you like teaching?
I do. I think, there's just, I think with college level, as or graduate school level folks, I really started, that's probably the area that I felt the oldest in that regard, just because of different ways of communication and interacting. I feel like that's where I feel like the biggest generational gap, or I feel like kind of old.
How about you, Case?
So no formal teaching positions. At work, nobody understands statistics, right? And they're all like, oh yeah, I took a course. So they always want us to come in and explain the latest things we're doing. And so we have some curriculum.
I think I messaged you when I was struggling with stats like about a year or so ago for that publication. I was like racking my brain. So yeah, if you have stats questions, Mike's your guy.
Yeah, send them my way. But we have like a little bit of a curriculum where the different functions can say, hey, come and talk to us. And so over the years, I've probably done, I don't know, a few hundred hours of that, but it's fun. I like it. Ultimately, maybe someday, when I'm done with all this stuff, who knows where I'll be.
Well,
Right.
I have the last
Before
one.
we sign off, I have one memory to share that's been posted on Facebook from Dave Green.
Yes.
This is a classic memory that sticks out in my brain. Is tell Mike Case that one of my most memorable summers was between 7th and 8th grade with he, Gary Thompson, a tape recorder, and a tandem bicycle.
Yeah. All those things existed. Thompson's family had a tandem, so we would go everywhere on that, up to Ridgedale, all over the place. And I remember Dave Green in our neighborhood all the time. Funny guy, and watched him the other day, and it was fun to catch up and see what's going on in his life. So
you guys covered some ground on that tandem bike. That was great.
we sure did. Yeah. We didn't even get into the high diving team that Gary and I were on, and there's a whole bunch of stuff we talked about.
Yeah. That was.
I did share that with my wife. I said, "Yeah, the guy that we're having on tonight, we used to go to Shady Oak, and he would daredevil dives off the high dive."
It's gotten better.
Mom's sometimes going, "Who is that idiot? He's going to break his neck out there." Like a friend of ours. No big deal.
Yeah, it's gotten better. We found a rock quarry near our house, and now we do even crazier things. So
now,
yep. My son now is taking the mantle, right? So he's going crazy.
How old is he?
He's 16. My daughter's 17. Yeah, so they're at the, prime age when they have no fear. So.
Wow. There you go. Well,
Yep.
Marnie, who's on next week?
Oh my God, I don't know. Hold on,
forgot.
I'll look. You can wrap it up as I'm looking. I was so excited to see these two people. I was just transfixed.
We'll try to get
No.
this Zoom situation fit. Oh, I've got the list in front of me.
Yeah.
Karen Koski
Oh, yeah.
Hintermeister and Natalie Ojeda George are on next week.
Yes, and we can read off more. We have September 15th, Jen Lind Price and Stephanie Brown. September 22nd, I'm trying to recruit Eric and Elise Rarup, actually got married. September 29th, Dr. Mark Mingy and his special guest.
Nice.
Yes, we have to redouble our efforts to get Rarup, the Rarups on. Maybe the only married, one of very few married couples from our class.
Yeah, there's a couple, but we have many years together, Jason.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, thanks so much for coming on and sharing stories. That was great. It was great to see both of you. Marnie.
Thank you. It's always early when you guys do this in California, but I try to listen live as I'm driving home in the traffic. So it's been really great to catch up or hear what everyone's up to.
Drive
Yeah,
time
very
radio.
fun.
That's high stakes. That's great.
Yep.
Okay, and so we will be posting this on YouTube and on Facebook taped. And please don't be strangers. I'm talking really to you, Mike Case.
That's
All right. I'll try to reach out. Yeah.
Okay. I have your mobile number now.
I know. Yeah.
I'll be careful. Okay, good
All
night,
right.
everyone.
Okay.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody. See you
Yep.
next week,
Bye.
Marnie.
See you soon, Barney.